Yo, time to wake 'em up!
Bonjour et bienvenue sur Discover 360. J'espère que cette chaîne vous plaira. Elle est consacrée à l'intelligence artificielle, au voyage et à la tech.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2.
N'oubliez pas de souscrire. Bonne écoute.
Next cipher begin!
All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are diving deep into Anthropic's brand new model, Claude Opus 4.7. And look, this is not just some minor tune-up. We're talking about a major leap forward, especially when it comes to the AI's ability to handle really complex coding tasks all on its own. So let me just start with a pretty big question. Imagine this. What if you could hand off a seriously tough, multi-day coding project to an AI and actually trust it to get the job done without you looking over its shoulder the whole time? That's the dream, right? And it's exactly the promise we're going to unpack today. Okay, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with that big dream of AI autonomy. Then we'll meet the new model that's trying to make it a reality. We'll pop the hood on its engine, figure out how to tune it, and then, and this is crucial, master the new rules for prompting. And finally, we'll ask the big question. What does all this mean for the future of coding itself? You know, for years, AI has been this incredibly powerful tool, but it's a tool that has needed constant handholding. For anything really complex, anything that took more than a few minutes, you had to be there, guiding it, correcting it, basically micromanaging it. The dream has always been to level up from that, to have a true AI partner you can delegate to, not just give directions to. And that is where Claude Opus 4.7 comes in. It hit general availability on April 16, 2026. Anthropic has been super clear that they built this model specifically to bridge that gap between a supervised tool and a truly autonomous teammate, especially for us in the software world.
Now, don't just take my word for it. Listen to what early testers like Devin are saying. The phrases that jump out to me are long horizon autonomy and pushes through hard problems. We're not talking about solving little coding puzzles here. We're talking about sustained, resilient work, the kind of grit that used to be reserved for a senior human engineer. And the hype is absolutely backed by some serious numbers. I mean, look at this. We're seeing double-digit gains across the board on benchmarks that mimic real-world complexity. A 12% bump on cursor bench, that's really good. But resolving 3 times more tasks on the Rakuten SWE bench, that's not just an improvement, that is a genuine game changer.
This quote from Replit, I think, points to something even deeper. Opus 4.7 isn't just a machine that follows orders better. It's actually becoming a collaborative partner. It brings its own opinions to the table, it pushes back, it helps you make better decisions. It's evolving from a tool into a teammate. So what is actually going on under the hood here? What's driving this incredible new level of performance? Well, let's take a look at the core components that make up this new autonomy engine. The secret sauce here isn't just one thing. It's how all these upgrades work together. You've got sustained reasoning, so it doesn't lose the plot on long tasks. It has built-in self-verification, so it can actually check its own work before it gets back to you. The memory is better, the vision is sharper for reading things like diagrams. It's the whole package. Now, with all this new power, you'd expect to have more control, right? Well, you'd be right. Anthropic has given developers what is basically a new dashboard to fine-tune the model's behavior, letting you balance intelligence, speed, and of course, cost.
And the main control on that dashboard is this new effort parameter. Think of it like a dial for the model's intelligence. You can turn it up or down, and pay close attention to that new X high level. Anthropic is straight up telling us, this is the new sweet spot for most coding and agentic work.
The trade-off here is pretty clear. If you set the effort lower, you'll get faster responses and pay less in tokens, but the model is going to stick very strictly to what you asked. But if you crank that effort up to high or X high, you unlock its real problem-solving brain. But yeah, it's going to cost you more tokens to do it. Okay, this is absolutely critical if you're planning to migrate your existing applications. There are 2 big architectural changes that are going to affect your costs. First, there's a new tokenizer, which means the same text can now use up to 35% more tokens. And second, at those higher effort levels, the model literally thinks more, which also uses more tokens. The bottom line, you have got to measure this on your own traffic. Don't get surprised by the bill.
And to help you manage those costs, especially on these new, long-running autonomous tasks, Anthropic has rolled out task budgets. It's simple. You just set a spending limit. This gives the model crucial context to help it prioritize what's important and make sure it doesn't blow through your budget.
All right, let's get to maybe the most practical part of this whole breakdown. To get the absolute most out of Opus 4.7, you have to change the way you write your prompts. Seriously, the old rulebook just doesn't quite work anymore.
If you remember one thing, remember this. Opus 4.7 takes your instructions far more literally than any model you've probably used before. Any little bit of ambiguity that an older model might have just figured out, this one won't. It can lead to some very interesting results if you're not precise. Clarity is everything now.
And here is a perfect example, straight from the docs. You can't just give a formatting instruction and assume it'll apply it everywhere. You have to explicitly tell it the scope. Apply this to every section. This literalism is really a double-edged sword, right? It gives you incredible precision, but it demands that same precision from you in your prompts. So here are a few quick tips you can use right away. First, give it a role to focus its expertise. Use XML tags to clearly separate instructions from context and examples. This cuts down on misinterpretation a ton. Also, just ask it to check its own work. And finally, be specific about how much you want it to write, because its new default is to match its response length to how complex it thinks the task is. Now this is fascinating. This slide shows how a prompt that used to be great can actually make your results worse now. With Opus 4.7, you might have told it to be conservative to stop it from nitpicking your code. But if you say that to 4.7, it will follow that instruction so perfectly that it might find a critical bug and then decide not to tell you about it. The new way is to ask for everything first, and then you do the filtering later. So let's pull back and look at the big picture. Claude Opus 4.7 is way more than just another yearly update. It really feels like a fundamental shift in the working relationship between developers and AI. If there's one key takeaway from all of this, it's this transition right here. We are moving away from an AI that you have to micromanage step by step, and we are moving towards a true autonomous partner, one you can actually delegate an entire, complex, multi-day engineering project to and have real confidence it'll get done. And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. One team reported that Opus 4.7 built, tested, and verified an entire text-to-speech engine in Rust completely from scratch. So my question to you is, if that becomes normal, how does that change the very nature of being a developer? Does our job shift from writing code to defining problems and directing these incredibly powerful autonomous agents? It's a pretty wild future to think about.